Welcome folks, before us we have a question in math paper 1. Now before we answer this question, I just want to remind and also encourage those that are in their exams this year that you need to start studying as soon as possible. You need to start the tuitions if you have not yet studied one. Because if you look at the nature of education, it takes time for you to understand and for something to become as a habit or part of you. So if, for example, maybe if where you are, you don't have where you can learn from, I offer online tuitions. And if you start with me, online tuitions, I'll give you a week for you to just observe my services. And if, for instance, after that period of time, you feel like you're not comfortable with my services, then you have that right to maybe go somewhere else and your money will be refunded. Then the way I do my online tuitions, what you just need to have in your phone is a WhatsApp app or a Telegram app. So we will be having live lessons. Then for now we are just going through some topics, major topics, but we use the past papers, the questions from the past papers as the exam, so that you become familiar with the way questions are asked and also how to do the questions. Then I also give the homeworks so that you keep yourselves busy. So make that right decision ASAP. So now let's go back to our question. Question is under linear programming. And we are told to write 3 inequalities that define the unshaded region R. So we have 3 lines and each line represents a specified inequality. Now you can start with any of the 3, the choice is yours, but I'm going to start with this one. So this one will be my first inequality since it is cutting the x-axis at one point only. Then I'm going to consider the slanting one, the second one. Then this is our third one. So step number 1, if you are looking for an inequality in which that inequality or the line cuts the x-axis, the first step is, since it is cutting the x-axis, you write the x. Then from there, you need to look at the number at which this line is cutting the x-axis. In our case, we can see that it's a 3. So we write our 3 here. Then the remaining part is just for us to identify the inequality symbol that we are going to put in between the x and the 3. So for us to do that, first we need to identify the region of interest. So the region of interest is the one which is unshaded. And the left side, if you have a vertical line, is always less. Then this is the greater. Now, since we want the less part, we are going to use the less than. And since the line is dotted, we are not going to put the equal sign. So this is our answer for the first part. Now the second part, we need to find the coordinates since the line is cutting 2 axes. So the first one, here it's 3. So whenever you're getting coordinates in y-axis, it's 0. The x value is always 0, comma, the number shown. Then for the x-axis, which is at this point, it's that number which is 6, comma, 0. Then after you do this, you need to identify the x1, x2, y1, y2. Then after this is done, you move on to write the formula of the gradient, which is y2 minus y1 divided by x2 minus x1. So you just have to do the substitution. So y2 is 0, y1 is 3, divided by x2 is 6 minus 0. So the numerator will give us negative 3 over 6. So if this is reduced, we can say 3 into 3 is 1. 3 into 6 will give us. So the gradient for this one, the gradient is equal to negative half. And it's making sense whenever the line is slanting down, like this one, then the gradient is always negative. Now what happens after you are done finding the gradient? So you need to apply the formula for the equation of the straight line. The formula is y minus y1 is equal to gradient, open brackets, x minus x1. Now from the two pairs of coordinates, you can choose any of the two. The answer will always be the same. So let's use we are going to use the any of the two. Okay, let's just use the first pair. You see the reason why we are going to use the first pair. So we have y minus y1. For the first pair, the y1 is 3. So we put 3 here. Gradient is negative half. x1 is 0. So x1 is 0. So we put our 0 here. So we have y minus 3 is equal to negative 2 times x, negative half times x is negative half x. Negative half times negative 0 is positive 0. So the reason why we chose that one, so that we get rid of the fraction. So for this part, we are just going to move our negative 3 to this side. And after that is done, we now have y is equal to half, negative half x plus 3. Then the remaining part is just now getting rid of the equal sign because we need the inequality. Now looking at this line, the upper is greater, then the lower is less. And we can see that the unshaded part is the less part, so we are going to use the less. So this time we are going to say less than or equal to negative half x plus 3. This is our final answer. To some people, if you want, you can shift the negative half to the left side, giving us y plus half x is less than or equal to 3. Now after this one is done, we move on to the third one. So the third one, the first pair of coordinates, they are being shared. It's 0, 3. The second one will be gotten from this point, so it's 3, 0. So x1, x2, y1, y2. Remember, formula for gradient. So y2 subtracted by y1 over x2 minus x1. So y2 is 0 minus 3, x2 3 minus 0. So on top we are going to have negative 3 over positive 3, and this will give us neg1 as our gradient. Then the equation of the straight line is given by this formula. So we said we can use any pair of the two. So let's use this one. Y minus y1 is 3, gradient is negative 1, x minus our x1 is just 0. So y minus 3 is equal to negative times x is next x. Negative times negative, that's just positive 0, negative 0, there's no issue. Then we shift this number to the right side. So negative x plus 0 plus 3, which is our equation of the straight line is this one. But we want the inequation, the inequality. So we go back. So this party is greater than this one is less. So we can see that we need the greater party. So we can now say y is greater than or equal to negative x plus 3. If we want, we can shift this x to the left side, giving us y plus x is greater than or equal to 3 as our final answer. So this is how we can answer a question like this one. So that's it for this video. Thanks for watching.